Hi there. So this is Matt from Planorama. I just came across this Reddit post and I thought I would respond personally through video. It's not AI, it's actually me. Why don't more companies prioritize quality and craft? So the author is saying that he was reading an interview from the CEO of Linear and talking about how they work as a company. And so started mentioning about the quality aspect, right? The product, it's quality in the way the product feels, the sales experience, the customer support, basically the whole customer experience from end to end, and how important it is. And then of course the question is why do more companies not do this? And mentioning that let me get down here, let's see, working as a team, feel spot on. But in my experience, the reason quality is rare is that isn't that the people don't care, it's that it's really hard. It's slower to design great UX, takes more time to make things feel more intuitive, and so on. And so I thought it was a good question because it's one that I get from time to time, and I try to explain as best I can, and I'll try to do that here. I agree, by the way, and it's not just because I have a company that focuses on design. It's because that design is in every other discipline where you build something. So, for instance, you build a bridge. You better have a designer, right? You're building a chip, and that's where I spend a lot of time. And you have designers, and you do a lot of design work. You don't get a chip if you don't have designers and verification and physical layout and all those things. So every other discipline where you build something, every other engineering endeavor is predicated by having good design, right? And only in software do we seem to have this idea that design is not really required, that design is maybe we'll get to it if we have money, or maybe we'll spend a little bit over here and we'll kind of zoom in, do some design work on this feature or this set of screens that we think are really important, and then we zoom back out and just let development go and build it. And then people wonder why projects go sideways, they blow software budgets, it takes a long time to get features out the door. And honestly, the developers are kind of pissed off that they can't get requirements in the way that they need it. They don't have a solid set of user stories that detail everything that can happen. Every developer I've ever talked to, when they talk about user stories, it's usually in terms of inadequacy. Sometimes they're receiving bullet points or partially flushed out, acceptance criteria, and then maybe a couple screen ideas, and then they're like, go. And that's their sprint. And they get frustrated, and they're many times beat over the head for not getting features out the door fast enough because they're the last ones holding the baton, right? They're the last ones before it goes out the door. And in the end, they just didn't get what they needed to be successful. So I'll jump back to the original premise here. The reason that it's not done is because people think design is an option with software for some reason. And I think they believe that because perhaps of this iterative approach, right? Like when you're building a bridge, when you're building a chip, when you're building any piece of machinery, you are certainly not in a place where you can just iterate over and over again, for free, right? And software, you kind of can do that, right? You can make releases over and over again. And while it costs some internal funds to do that, in terms of manpower, you're basically able to release periodically as often as you want. And so maybe there's this idea that, well, if we do design later, then it'll be okay. We can decide when to do that. But in the end, it actually is what makes their lives harder by not integrating design into the process. So, he says it right here. It's slower to design UX. That's how people feel. Right? It takes more time to make things feel intuitive. That is how people feel. But in the end, if you do design correctly, you save yourself a whole bunch of rework in the future, right? You're focused on making a product that is usable, that is intuitive, user friendly, going back to the to the 80s when that term was really in use, right? And it's a differentiator in the market, right? Your product now is something that people just want to pick up and use. It can sell itself, and it can certainly keep customers coming back. And that's just from the what I would call the what UX is known for side of the world. When you think about what you need to deliver so that it can be built, development teams, again, really wish they could get solid requirements. And if you can provide them screens that are all designed out with the happy path, the exception cases, everything delineated out. And what we do is we write user stories, we write test cases as well. We provide all the documentation. But if you can do that, now a dev team is super efficient, and they're able to get those products out the door more quickly, or the features, everything just gets done faster. And that's where design pays for itself. And I think this is the lesser discussed advantage of UX, and it's certainly what we promote with my company. It's not that the software is going to be usable. That's like selling a car and saying we're going to advertise it has a steering wheel and a radio. Like, of course it better, right? That's that's going to be a car. But it's the things that make the whole process run more smoothly when you have an engineering discipline or an engineering effort that is preceded by a design effort, a planning effort, right? To make sure that you are creating the features in a sensible way and prioritize according to the user's goals, to the business goals. That is going to make the business just run more smoothly. And certainly if you document it and you get it over to the dev team in the way that they need it, now their jobs are a lot easier, right? So I think this is the lesser discussed portion of design. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes I think design would do better if it didn't begin with a D, because people lump together design and development, design and dev team, designers and devs. They're two totally different things, just like an architect and a construction crew, right? There's value in each discipline, but one of them is going to hand off things that go to the other. And that's where I think that many teams, many companies miss the mark. And then they wonder why they end up spending so much on development that is probably sitting idle or at least not very efficient in their development sprints because they're not receiving what they need to be successful. And it's not a development team problem. It's normally, from what I've seen, a requirements problem. So anyway, there's lots of value in getting UX done and done right, and thinking about design with a capital D as a discipline, and all that entails. So that's why I think more companies don't do it, and why they should, and what they're missing out on from their competitors. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. It was more than I could type, so that's why I made a video. But you have a good day. Take care. Bye.